Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm your host, Alex, and this is Brian, our Chief
Hello.
Technical Officer.
Hey, everybody.
Uh, howdy, how you doing?
Doing good.
All right. Uh, so this is Office Hours. We are the people who make Speedify, and this is your chance to grill us about your customer support questions or just chat and hang out for a little while. Usually we do them on Wednesdays, but try and mix up a little bit. We know other people are in other time zones and things, so here we are. Um, so, if you haven't yet, do the usual: like us, follow, subscribe, mash those buttons, hit that bell, whatever. Um, so, one thing we've been thinking about here, the Starlink cell phone service. Have you guys heard about this? Uh, Starlink is starting to put cell phone towers equipment on their satellites, which means the ability to get cell phone service in the middle of the ocean, on the top of a mountain, in all those rural areas that no carrier wants to cover. You can reach space, you'll be on. I assume it's. I haven't heard people talk about this, but I assume it must be an indoor only thing, an outdoor only thing, right?
I mean, it's the same. It's the same radio technology. I don't know. I don't see why. I mean, their latency of Starlink already is close enough to 4G. I don't know that many people will notice. I mean, they have a relationship with it was T-Mobile, right? That was sort of their
Mhm.
initial. They kind of opened it up, so it's
Yeah,
if you're a carrier, contact us or whatever. It seems like they're trying to push out to more, but
yeah. And I think they had a
um,
carrier in Australia and a carrier in the Philippines and one in Japan. Like I think they sort of had
yeah,
one per
yeah.
country across a dozen countries. It was T-Mobile in the U.S. So here's my question: would you guys use that? Like, do you guys find yourselves in places where there is no cell phone service? Are you going spots where this would make a difference? Me, I spend most of my time in Philadelphia, find service. But uh sometimes I go hiking the Grand Canyon, one of my favorite places on earth. I like the fact that I have no cell phone service on my hike. I think that's fantastic. On the other hand, I've never fallen off one of the ledges. And I know the instant I did, my opinion would change about what I think of cell phone service in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Um, so there you are. All right, so you guys tell us about that. You know, would you use it? Where would you use it? What are you doing that would make you need cell phone service where there's no cell phone service at all today? Would be insane if Starlink space phones were compatible with Neuralink. Yeah, Elon Musk going right into my brain. Yeah, that is one of the tricks though. It doesn't require a space phone. They've
Right.
put real is it LTE
Yep.
radios like your iPhone, your Android, whatever it is you have today. Supposedly should, with the right SIM card, be able to talk to satellites because he's just pretending to be.
Yeah.
If it's at 500 megabits per second and only 500 a month uncapped, yes. Uh, I think it's slow. He said well each tower covers a huge amount of area, which means the signal he has is spread out pretty far. You're not going to be getting this is going to be 2 megabits, but
Yeah.
you're going to have internet in a place you never had internet before. Right?
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
pay $500 a month for 100% uptime. Yep. Yeah, but will it be enough for a live stream or just enough to call home and say, I'm not dead? Here are my GPS locations. Philippines. You move just a few feet one way and you get 0 bar. Yeah, I read an interesting thing that Verizon, they model the RF to figure out how strong a radio they need in what location to give good enough service. And then when all the math works out, they bump it up by 28 dB. which means 400 times as much power as the computer says. And it turns out that works out pretty well. Right? You go to the basement and they have the ability to just bump up the power 100x to 8 in the basement. You get in the elevator and they can blast way more power than they thought they were going to get while you're in the elevator, right? That works pretty well. All right. Ashwin asks, hi, I got a second plan on my phone using eSIM and it is a different provider. Can Speedify use that as more bandwidth? Right.
Sure. So, I mean, the way that eSIMs work on just about every phone is that they'll provide a second option, so you can kind of pick which one you want to use for voice, which one you want to use for data, and it can kind of use them both for those different things, but it can't actually have both up for data at the same time or voice at the same time. So normally they just have really one radio, active at a time. So you can kind of pick and choose. And so if you find that one works better or one provides, cheaper bandwidth or more bandwidth over the month, you can kind of pick and choose that way. But normally we can't use both at the same time.
Yeah. So they do a really clever trick, which is it's only got one radio. The two SIM cards are sharing one radio, and so it'll pick one as the one you says the default for data, and spends 95% of its time on that network, and then switches for 5% of the time. 50 milliseconds per second, it's on the other network, and asks do I have any texts? Do I have any messages? Any notifications for me? And if the answer is no, it just jumps right back to the real one. So it seems to you like you're on both networks. You're getting notifications from both. But that's how it's doing it. It's clever, right?
Yeah. So I think the technology behind it, using both at the same time, I think normally is called dual SIM, dual active. So you'll see like DSDA. And I think Samsung and a couple companies have been saying that, good news, their new chip finally supports DSDA. And then that finally rolls out in phones. It's like, well, the phones don't have DSDA active. Like, oh, okay. Or a phone actually does. And it's like, why isn't, you can't do data both at the same time. And it's like, well, no, you can't do that. It's voice and data only. So it's a little frustrating, like trying to read the marketing stuff on good. This new Samsung chip finally supports DSDA. And you get a phone with it that doesn't actually work.
Qualcomm in the middle of last year made a bunch of noise about how their chips could do DSDA right. But, how long does it take from Qualcomm bragging about it to a phone whose software actually supports it? It could be years. It could be never, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we've been excited a couple times about new DSDA devices and have just been let down. There are weird devices that have multiple radios. That's sort of been a thing for, gosh, I think at least 10 years. You've been able to get weird Android devices a lot of times in China. You can get an Android device that actually has, 2 SIM slots and 2 4G radios and actually, dual active. Those tend to be kind of oddball devices still at this point.
Ashwin says, I see 2 signal strengths. Right. It's what I said, right? It knows the signal strength on both because it's hopping over to the other network. 50 milliseconds. Enough to tell the tower, I'm still here. If you have any notifications for me, check the signal strength, all that stuff. So it's ready to go the instant you need it. But that's it. Yes, exactly. It is time division with 95% of the time on whichever one you chose as primary. Maybe you guys can do a cell phone that does it as a modem package. Yeah, we'll ask Bonna if she wants to go into manufacturing hardware. Cell phones. We'll see how well that goes over. Yeah, we're not going to design a phone. The employees at Speedify have a surprising amount of the skills you would need to. Brian and I have designed radios before that have been mass manufactured. He's actually an electrical engineer. Before I sucked him so deeply into the software world, we're not doing it again. Sorry. No, thank you. All right, now we have a less positive question here. The Speedify program is not useful for gaming. I subscribed to it to have an advantage in online games, but it let me down. Sorry to hear that. There are a lot of important details here. You know, what game and where are you located? When you're gaming, you definitely want to try to pick a speed server that's closer to the gaming server. You can figure out where that is.
Yep.
At one point, doesn't matter who it was. We had a customer who was complaining about, he was in Chicago and Speedify seemed to make his latency worse. And it turned out the only thing he connected to was one server in Seattle. And he was in Chicago and he was connecting to our New York server. So instead of having to go halfway across the country, he was going 1.5 times across the country, right? Because Chicago's in the middle, New York's on the east, Seattle's on the west. So we accidentally, in that case, tripled his latency until we figured out what was going on, that he only cared about his latency to Seattle, not to the internet in general. And by the way, now we also have servers in Chicago, so it would be irrelevant. This was a long time ago. But once he realized he should connect to servers our servers in Seattle, since he was only going to Seattle, he was a delighted customer.
Yeah, redundant mode for gaming is a good way to go too. If you have a couple internet connections and neither one is really reliable enough for you to get through your games, if you didn't try redundant mode, I would try that. What that would end up doing is sending all of the gaming traffic over. If you have 2 connections, it would send it all over both. And then whichever arrives at the server first is what gets delivered. So that should give you really the lowest latency and the least loss that's possible, really combining both of your connections at the same time. So if you're not looking to really speed you up and get you more bandwidth, you just want the lowest latency and the least loss as possible, which I think for gaming is normally the case. Redundant mode should help you out.
Here's a question for you, Brian.
All right. Can you get a dedicated server with an ISP IP address? Soon? Yeah, we are. Yeah. That is something we're actively working on. So soon.
Yep. Precisely. Is it possible to set specific sites to use specific cities? No, at this time.
Right.
You connect to one server at a time. Switching apps doesn't switch servers. Yeah, it's actually come up before. The main thing. The main spot this usually comes up is the idea of send all your BitTorrent traffic through one and send your web browsing through another, so that there are higher reputation servers for web traffic. Nobody says it's full of bad guys, but we don't have that. Is there any widget for Android, or do you plan to create one? I don't think there is. We had one.
Right.
I think it's gone. I don't remember the story with the Android one. iOS, there's sort of strange things that we run in the background, and the widgets expect to talk to your app, not a thing in the background. So we do have the activity thing finally working nicely. I don't know if you guys have seen that on iOS. So I think it's all solvable, but we had more widgets on iOS, and they never seemed to work quite as well as we wanted. All right. Uh-oh, you think Nord can do it? We must catch up. All right. All right. So a few more things. Make sure you stay on the YouTube channel. If you're on YouTube, stay on. If you're not, pop over to your YouTube channel after this. YouTube, Speedify, find there. We have a new video that will be coming out right after this, explaining the Speedify graphs. What the heck are they? You can find out. Check that out. Yesterday was Rare Diseases Day, and our lovely friends at UFP Tech sent us this amazing coffee from Rare Brew Coffee Company. And actually drink good smile. Nifty spoon too. Oh, this multicolored. It's got the thing for holding your bag closed. Yes. But here's the deal. So if you go to Rare Brew Coffee, they're doing coffee for your every bag of coffee they sell. They give some money to help families that are affected by the rare gap one. So great cause. We have a discount code, Speedify 10. You get 10% off coffee, and there is still. My audio is weird. My audio weird for you guys?
Sounds like it.
All right.
Yeah, Smash TV Network is saying the same. I don't know.
Yeti stereo mic. I'm on the Yeti stereo mic. Volume's go down. I didn't touch it. Wasn't me. I'm innocent. I was framed. I'm so afraid to tweak the volume on my mic. All right, seems okay. Maybe it was trying to pick up the sound of the coffee bag. Maybe. I don't know. Interesting. Do I sound okay now? All right. Anyway, yeah, rarebrewcoffee.com. Use discount code Speedify10. Buy some great coffee. Use some good money for this good cause. It's on back order. It's sold out. On back order. Well, you're going to need coffee in a few weeks. I know I am. This bag will only last me a few days. Back for more. All right. New member of the Speedify team. Another Brian. For a long time we've been dealing with only 2 Brians here, but we fixed it. We're back up to 3. With a new social media host, Brian, who's not this guy. So we've done a bunch of streams with him before. If you guys remember, in 2022, he was a guest host with me on a couple of these streams where we went to Longwood Gardens, we went to Catholic Village. He is joining the Speedify team. It is super awesome. He's on lots of platforms himself. You want to know for his personal stuff. As You Were Found, you can find him wherever. One word, YOU Were Found. So you're going to start seeing him showing up in lots of our videos, perhaps occasionally on this. Yeah, he's a real Speedify user. He's great. He's an online personality, live streamer, and just heavy Speedify user. The first time I ever met him, fished around in his bag and pulled out the Raspberry Pi where he was running Speedify at that moment. Okay, this is my guy. So very excited to have our third Brian on the team. You're going to see him in a lot more of these videos. It's really cool. So, all right, if you guys have questions for us about Speedify, keep asking. I can just keep talking, but the show is for you. Let's see. Brian, what's new with Speedify?
So we are prepping 14.6 release. Not sure if it's going to go out today or if it's going to come out Monday or something. We're sort of in the finishing stages of it. I think the biggest change that people will notice there is the trusty login screen that has asked for your username and password for Speedify forever is going to be replaced. You will have the option to sign in with the app with Google if you want, or Apple if you want, or your trusty Speedify username and password. And so it's really moving to a new login system in the app. and the device that once you log in, it's going to get a token. And so if you sign into my.speedify.com, you'll be able to see your active devices and actually revoke access to specific ones if you want to. And so instead of all of your devices having your username and password saved, it's going to instead get tokens. So opens up flexibility for a lot of cool stuff for us.
Some of that stuff actually went live yesterday, right? If
Yep,
you go to
yes.
myspeedify.com right now and log in, for people using a lot of devices, it's always been Speedify thinks I'm using 5 devices. It'll show you what 5 devices we think you're using. Things like that, and so you can sort of see when you last used them and things. It's pretty cool. All right. Here an idea. MAC address login, not username password. Well, privacy reasons. I know you're thinking about privacy reasons, but for privacy reasons, we never look at your MAC address, so that we don't have it. But of course, in the end, we need something. Right, so you're thinking, how do I avoid letting these people know my email address?
So on mobile, I mean, if you just install the app and just dismiss the thing to log in and dismiss the prompt to upgrade to Pro or whatever, we don't ask you for anything really, other than permission to run as a VPN. And so in that case, we assign the device a unique ID that, different than your MAC address, it can't really be tied to your device in any other way. I mean, a MAC address, somebody else might also know the MAC address. They would be able to say, oh, this is that. I mean, I don't even want that level of detail. So in that case, on mobile and Windows and stuff, we just assign a unique ID to the device that doesn't really mean anything.
But on mobile, go further with that. On mobile, you can buy from Apple or Google.
Yep.
And we'll say after you buy, you may, if you register, you can use this purchase on, your other computers and stuff. If you don't register, we actually have no idea.
Yeah.
We have nothing on you. Your ID is a random number that we made up. But of course, that means if you buy on an iPhone, you can only use it on an iPhone, iPad. You can't use it on your Windows PC because you have no way to show us you're the same person if you don't register. But it's fine with us. Go for it.
Got a question
from
a
QR code. Yes. We have plans for a future release. This release, the single sign-on options that are coming are Google and Apple. In the future, there will be crazier options. Heading towards some of these things that I think you want.
Yeah.
All right. New question. Hi from Japan. Could you guys make a dashboard UI which shows every real-time statistics all at once? That would be very helpful for my streaming work. Would you like it in the app, or would you like it on the website? On myspeedify.com. Because a couple other people have asked for this, and most of them have ended up coming to the conclusion after some chit chat that they don't want it in the app. They want it somewhere else, that they, so that if you're live streaming, your producer can watch your network stats. That's kind of thing you want? Or do you just want to see it in the app? We don't have it right now either way. But we have a bunch of stats. And,
most of the time that we've wanted this stuff, it tends to be like IRL sort of situations where, it's not actually that you want it on your phone. It's somebody else wants to watch it and be able to, figure out what's going on. So I think getting that stuff to the web, from our perspective, when we've done IRL stuff, would be the way to go.
UI would be good. Great idea. Why not both? App and web. Easy enough to show a web page in the app if we want, right? But so it's a little different, right? I mean, to do the web page, it means we have to, get all the stats to the server. But yeah, okay. Just things. Okay, yeah, web UI sounds better. Okay. All right. I prototyped some stuff. I hacked into the code and got something working about a year ago. I mean, it had severe security problems, but it worked. Yeah, I had a web page where people could see all the stats off my phone. So we should come back to that concept because clearly people want it. Is there any router that can use Speedify and do bonding? It is coming. There are people who have gotten Speedify running on routers. We are actively working on improving it so it works nicely on routers and working with router companies who make it just be routers you can buy with Speedify on it. Not have to deal with these weird instructions. All right. I thought that's what the API was for in Teams. The Teams API has some stats in it. You can see how much data each person is using, like 15-minute increments. You can see a bunch of stats on how busy your servers, if you have dedicated servers, how busy they are, like minute to minute. But mostly it's about account management, about adding users to your team, kicking people off the team, things like that.
Pushing settings.
Pushing settings, that's what I use it for mostly. Effect size, yeah. IRL stream. Yep, things are coming. Things are coming. Quick answer. All right. Yes, myspeedify.com. A bunch of new stuff appeared there, including that you can log in there actually right now with the Apple and Google, and it shows you what devices you're using and things. But more improvements coming next week. Yeah, we're really rolling. All right, got some notes to ask Brian how Speedify works, but I'm feeling like crowd is up on things. Does everyone know about parent share? Brian, you want to talk about parent share a little bit?
Sure. So parent share is a relatively new feature. It went out a couple of releases ago, and it lets devices that are running Speedify find each other over local networks and share whatever connections they have. So really nice way if you have a handful of devices that have different cell carriers or something that are all on the same Wi-Fi network, for instance, they can all find each other, and you can end up getting 3 cell connections on your iPhone, for instance. You can kind of combine AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile or whatever you want, really all on one device. So pretty nice, really easy way of linking up more connections than you have before. I don't hear you. Maybe that's me.
It's your Wi-Fi.
Now I can hear you a little bit.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Mike needs a reboot. Something's weird.
How about now? I am now hearing a hissing in my ears.
You sound good now.
All right. Well, I'm hearing stuff that I don't know where it's coming from. I wonder what that is. Anyway, I'll let you take some of these questions.
Sure. Does not pair share 2 networks with pair share device on it? Not quite sure what you mean. I mean, if there are 2 devices on both networks. I'm not following. So Smash TV is saying if there's 2 devices on both networks, it only sees 1. I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, Alex.
Can you send logs?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Send logs, contact support. I'm not. It should. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying.
All right, Pixel Bay.
When will? Yep, Pixabay is asking when will users be able to roll their own servers. I expect that this year. It's not what we're working on right now, but it comes up frequently enough. I think we will attack that. And I think the changes that we're making now bring us a lot closer to that. So yeah, I want that too. I think it makes a lot of sense.
What are the different uses for the VPN that comes with the service? Is it mainly for security?
So yeah, I mean, Speedify, it's a VPN that we wrote really from the ground up to be the best VPN for mobile. And so what that really means is that we are assuming that you're bringing some mobile connections here. So you're on Wi-Fi, you've got cellular, probably, throughout the day, they're both going to be not great at some point. And so we kind of took that into account. So we know that connection quality is going to change a lot. And so it's really written to, be able to take advantage of multiple connections. And so whether that means improving your speed, getting the best speed you can out of multiple connections or the best reliability, that tends to be what, really makes Speedify special. So on top of that, we use DTLS, and so, security is good, but it's really being able to use multiple connections that makes it special.
All right. All right. Can we do IRL no rip hosting with it? Do in real life no? I mean no rip hosting. Do you know what that means, Brian?
Yeah, so that is you being able to do IRL streaming when your connections can go to trash, and it just instead of disconnecting people or something, you just kind of have a nicer we'll be right back sort of screen. So yeah, that's I think makes a lot of sense. There's certain times where you pop down at a subway station or something and you lose connection for a couple seconds. So instead of really going to garbage, it handles that a lot more smoothly.
We'll be able to drop a Speedify server on my host. So yeah, Brian said yeah. By the end of the year, I think so. Yeah, we also talked about the possibility at one point, but I think we've decided against it. Would we let you run streaming video servers like anti-scuff and stuff right on your dedicated server? From us. For now, I think we're leaning towards no. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I think some of the folks that are hosting those, the OBS in the cloud sort of thing. I think once we make running your own server easier, I'd like to reach out to a lot of those guys too, and see if they want to offer an option to run Speedify on their service as well. I think that would be an interesting way to go too.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. That it? All right. So new video right after this on our YouTube channel. If you're already there, just stay there. If you're not, you can go to YouTube, search for Speedify right there. New video about the graphs in Speedify, how they work, what they tell you, how to change settings on them. It's gonna be cool. Oh, I guess it's there already. So in the comments there's a link to the video. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. What else? We'll be back next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 4 hours later than this stream was. If you're somewhere else, don't want to deal with converting time zones. Whatever time this was, 4 hours later than this on Wednesday, we'll be back. So more questions. Yeah, so 14.6 with all the cool new login stuff. I'm thinking it's probably Monday. I think it's ready to go, but yeah. We don't want to deal with releasing a new version at 6 p.m. on Friday. At 6 p.m. somewhere already. All right. Any last thoughts, Brian?
No.
All right. Well, I will bid you all a good weekend. Have fun, everybody. Be safe, and I'll see you all online. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.